Any moment. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going, one and all? Welcome to the Reseller Show, episode number 26. My name's Andy Lawrence.
And my name's Kev Blackburn.
And as I've already said, this is the Reseller Show every Monday evening, live at more or less 7 o'clock. And we're here again for another one. How are you doing, Kev? How's things with you?
I'm doing outstanding, thank you, Andy. I'm not going to lie, my voice is only just recovering after the last couple of weeks. It's been a very high energy couple of weeks, but excited to be back onto the Reseller Show. Luke did amazing last week.
Didn't he?
Top man.
Yeah, he did a really good job. It's always good to hang out with Luke, and yes, very much enjoy chatting to him about the whole used book game, so that was good. But yeah, I really want to hear about UPW and the event you went to down in London, which is why you weren't with us. That sounds like an awesome event. I know it's something that is a big part of your life, and Tony Robbins is someone you consider a mentor, I'm sure. So I'd be very interested to hear how you got on, and if you had any sort of major breakthroughs or takeaways you want to share from us. I'm absolutely riveted to hear how you got on.
Yeah, so this is a seminar that I've been to since 2016. So for you guys that maybe, I'm convinced that everybody probably knows of Tony Robbins at this point. He's everywhere. And Tony Robbins is somebody that was, I was introduced to Jim Rohn, and then I got to know about this personal development world with the likes of Tony Robbins. And then when I heard that Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' mentor as well, I've spoken about Jim Rohn quite a lot. I really do recommend him to everybody because he's just a fantastic person. But then when I learned about Tony Robbins, I was like, okay, let's see what this guy's all about. Super high energy. And then UPW is one of his seminars that he does, Unleash the Power Within. And it just so happened that I ended up quitting my job in January of 2016, and then UPW came to London in the April. So that was the first experience that I had. I was like, okay, I'm going to turn up at this event, see what it's all about, unleash the power within. What could this be about? And without a doubt, it's one of the most impactful experiences that I've had in my entire life. You know, there's been this. It's such a great experience in terms of becoming aware of ultimately like what you want to do out of life, and then having the I guess the courage to take action despite of there's a lot of things that can come up, like the odds are stacked up against all of us to be successful. So when you go experience this seminar where there's like 10,000 people, high energy for 4 days, you are literally up on your feet, dancing about, you're meeting other people that are like really high energy, motivated, inspired. A lot of them are, there's a lot of business owners there as well. So you get to meet other people that are on the journey as well. And you get to hear other people's experiences. And it's amazing what you can learn from other people. And then obviously Tony Robbins himself, I mean, I can understand why he's obviously been incredibly successful in his life. He's worked with presidents and royalty and the top sports people around the world. So you've got to go experience this person. And I was this year, after the 4th year going, I was a diamond attendee, which basically means you get a little bit closer towards the front, just like stood in front of me. And this guy, Tony Robbins, is like nearly 7 foot tall. His hands, he's a huge guy. His hands are like the size of my chest. Like he's just a massive guy. And yeah, it was just an amazing experience. It was an incredible experience. I recommend it to anybody. You come out there after exhausting, some big takeaways that I got, and I've shared it on my YouTube channel as well. So I highly recommend that you check out some more of the detailed takeaways that I got. But the big thing for me was there's always another level. There's always another level. No matter how much you think that you're giving it right now, there's always another level. No matter how much you think that you've worked today or over the weekend or the last couple of weeks or whatever, there's always another level. There's so much more that you can do on a daily basis. Like there's most likely you can sleep less to get more done. You've got so much more energy. You're more capable than, and he does this. And the way he shows you to do this, and it's a metaphor really, is you walk across fire. Like it's actual fire. It's not like it's not fake stuff. It's not like hype. It's actual fire. Like imagine you having a barbecue and then tipping that barbecue out on the floor and then you taking your shoes off and walking across it. And it's all, it's all like the metaphor behind it is if you psych yourself up enough, imagine yourself, the best, another metaphor that I could give you is if I was in this warehouse right now and this fire door here was like not there and it was blocked off and a lion came into the warehouse, like I would absolutely give everything or die trying. That lion's either going to kill me or I'm going to kill the lion. And when you're in that place, when there is no surrender, there is no going back, then you will walk across fire. Like you will literally walk across fire, and all day he really would go through a really powerful process and one understanding how you can change your emotion at any time. You can go from feeling maybe not energetic to energetic, just literally just like that. One of the ways he does that is by music, dancing. You know, if all of a sudden we started playing music in this warehouse and me and Andy, we started getting up out of our chair and started dancing about, it would change our chemistry in our body to make us feel like we're more ready. And it's like there's like if you picture a boxer walking into a ring, you know, there's a reason why he's got people around him like whispering in his ear how awesome he is and how he's going to make it happen. And then he's got his favorite music playing, all these things that it happens for a reason. And that is, you know, it's so powerful. I highly recommend it. It was absolutely awesome. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, sounds like a really special event. I must admit, it sounds awesome. I just thought, whilst we have a natural breaking conversation, I'll say hello to the guys in the chat. Mark's in, Luke's in, Sam, as always, is in, Sean as well. Mandy's finally managed to make it to a live one. Good to see you, Mandy. And as always, Sea Dog, Chris is in. How's it going, Chris? Simon Hurrell as well. Good to see everyone. Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you all, guys. Good to see you. Happy Easter to you all.
Yeah, I hope you had a good bank holiday weekend in the UK. We've had a nice long bank holiday weekend, and for once the weather's been absolutely bang on. I don't know what it's like up north, Kev, but down here it's been pretty decent.
Oh, it's been really, really nice. In fact, yesterday we on Easter itself went out with the family. It was great at the park. On Saturday we had the event here, so we never got to see any of the sun, but that was a high energetic day as well. It was fab.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Excellent, good to see. Who was it that was the guest on in the warehouse yesterday? Saturday.
Saturday, it was a guy called Carl Pauline, and he's like a productivity expert, and he's a YouTuber as well. Got 25,000 subscribers. He's pretty much near about your level, and he flew over from South Korea, so I got him to come here, spend the day with us. It was a great day, fantastic day. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Awesome. No, it sounds good. Sounds awesome. So how's everyone's weekend been? Let us know in the chat how you've got on with your weekend, and if you've got any questions, as always, give us a shout. We can answer it on the show. I've had a really good. Go on, Kev. Sorry.
I'll just add what Chris just said here. Personal development is crucial to success. So I absolutely believe that your level of personal development, as you grow, your business will grow in proportion. Because that, I think, like anything when it comes to business, like management skills, team leading skills, building your business skills, just you being able to figure stuff out when you don't know, like being resourceful, making phone calls, all that comes from personal development. You
Yeah.
know, there's I know for me personally, since starting my business, I've got so many new skills from actually just practicing building a business. It's
Yeah.
from talking to accountants about terminology that I had no idea back in 2015, and
Mm.
that's just personal growth. So, highly recommend anybody to invest in themselves in personal development.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, you've taught courses with your community, Kev, and I've taught many courses. And over the years of speaking to people and helping people, I've found that it's more of a game of the mind than it is the content of the course quite often, because it's a wholesale happens to be my thing that I like to teach people, and Amazon as is yours, but it's more about getting the people that you're trying to teach, getting their mind straight and getting it in the way that they're receptive to this new opportunity, because quite often it's their own mindset that's been limiting them in the past. And so, yeah, I found that has definitely rung true for me. And as soon as people have the right attitude, it pays off 10 times over. And you can often see when people start the course, people with the right mindset and energy and the can-do attitude, you think, yeah, they've got it straight away and they're going to do really well, and they always do. And it's the people that are a little bit quieter that need a little bit more help, that need a little bit more encouragement in that type of things, and the personal growth and personal development. So yeah, I've seen it time and time again. When you get your head straight and you get the right sort of headspace, and you sort of give yourself the chance to do well, then the rest is, just falls into place. So I definitely echo that
Yeah,
for sure.
we're very complex beings, and another thing that Tony Robbins said was, I think he said that 80% of success is psychology,
Mm.
and only 20% is mechanics. And I think that is really, really. I don't know whether that the percentages are accurate or what, but if you think about it, to build a wholesale business, the mechanics are the same for all of us.
Mm.
The mechanics like go to a trade show, push yourself to speak to other people, build rapport, get connections, make phone calls, learn. That's all mechanic. That's like mechanics. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows how to do that. But where the difference is the psychology. Some people maybe speak to the first person, and because they may be let down, they'll just see that as failure and they'll give up. Or challenge. You're always going to get challenges in business,
Mm.
and if you are taking that, like, every hurdle that you overcome and every hurdle that you experience and learn from, somebody else has potentially stopped at that hurdle. And
Mm.
that's all comes down to psychology. It all comes
Absolutely.
down to focus. It all comes down to consistency. It all comes
Mhm.
so many different things we could talk about
Yeah.
in terms of that makes somebody successful and not.
Yeah, even down to just the positive mindset. As you say, some people will come across a roadblock and it'll be insurmountable and they give up and say that, well, that's that, and they move on. It's a negative mindset. Other people, they've got just such a good positive mindset. They'll say, well, okay, that hasn't worked. Why hasn't it? How can I learn from it? What can I do? And immediately start thinking of different ways around it. Okay, well, now I'm going to learn from that next time. Next time I do it, I'm going to do it differently, and so on and so forth. And they are the people with that mindset that have the grit to carry on and find another way around, rather than saying, oh, well, I tried that and it didn't work, so I left it, I did something else. And that, it just, that positive mindset can also oftentimes carry you through the tricky bits that everyone's got to go through. So
Yeah,
yeah,
comes
it's
down comes down to the one thing that I learned a part of my own personal development journey was the questions that you're always asking yourself. Exactly what you've just said there. If two people come up against the challenge which seems to be difficult, or that's like, oh God, how can we overcome this?
mm,
One person may ask, what can I learn here? How can I overcome this? Another
mm,
person may ask, this is the end,
mm,
and oh my God, I've failed. And
mm.
it's all about what you're saying to yourself at any
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely agree with that for sure.
Luke's
Luke's
got
got
some big news here.
Yeah. By the way, Luke, I've got your message, and I will be getting back to you. I've seen it, and I've just got to sort out what I'm doing for next week. So yeah, don't think I haven't seen your message, but I did. So yeah, what's Luke had to say in this message here? Decided over the weekend to drop out of uni. Oh my God, it's been an interesting one. Loving the weather, and it's been very busy. Biggest FBA shipment so far. and
The
start the
start of the
cricket
cricket
season.
season.
Well, busy boy. So yeah, we met up with Luke at the latest Secret World Project event, actually a few weeks ago now. That's gone quick, but yeah, Luke's a great guy. Enjoyed chatting with you, Luke, when we were there. So what's your question I have is, how do you guys separate business and personal life? Sometimes I find this fine, but occasionally we'll be carrying on without any real direction. Yeah, here's the thing, that work-life balance and to be able to separate it is very difficult. And I've tried different things over the years. And certainly, I know, Luke, you're pretty young, just sort of getting started on your career. And I think you definitely go through seasons. And when I was younger, it was all about work. It was 100% work. Well, yeah, probably just a few years after you, I started getting into different projects and things, and took a long time to find my path. But the work ethic was very much just work, work, work until late at night, and then do the same again, rinse and repeat. Um, but at the same time, there's always something that has to, give at the other end of that. And I definitely found at a point when I wasn't spending enough time with my wife when I eventually got married, and we had a more permanent relationship. I was in a situation where I had to relook at that, because you can't just work at this cost of everything else in your life. So there has to be some sort of ground rules to that. And also, I find it's great to be focused and have the energy to do that, but you also risk burnout. You risk kind of getting to the stage where you've worked too much, and there definitely needs to be a balance. And this weekend is a good example. Actually, the weather was going to be good. Easter weekend, there's always a few things going on, and I said to myself, yeah, I've got a few bits I needed to do, and I did them, but they were literally just dipping into them for an hour here and half an hour there to make sure I kept on top of things. But otherwise, I was pretty much assigning the whole weekend, because I knew it's a good opportunity to spend time with family and literally switch everything off and just focus on hanging out with family and doing the things. So I kind of had that perfect weekend where I was messing around, had a bit of Andy time in the garage, cleaning out the carburetor of one of my outboard motors, and sort of listening to a podcast while I did that, which I really enjoyed. Just having that sort of tweaking and messing around time on my own, which is really relaxing, and replacing gaskets and all that sort of spallymonkering. I really enjoyed that. And obviously visiting family, both sets of my family went to visit and spent some time with my niece and nephew. Messing around, acting like a kid is always beneficial, and just fixing the garden up and doing all that sort of thing, but deliberately kind of putting business on a back burner. So when I go back to work this week, I'm going to be absolutely ready and raring to go, because I've had such a great weekend and really enjoyed that. And so I think it's important to have that balance where you say, okay, this time I'm definitely going to be present in the moment with family and friends and my wife and everything else like that, and really live in that and be in that moment and enjoy it. So when you come out of that and say, no, it's work time, you've got more energy and you're ready to go and you're pumped up. And that's the same with when I travel quite a bit for that reason, is to have that. I've always got the next place booked and ready to go. The next point where I'm aiming for, it's like, this is the point. So you can find the times. It's like, okay, I've only got another month or so before I'm off again, so I need to really work hard in between those times. So for me, that works really well, because I can really work as hard as I can in that time and enjoy that time, because I know that soon enough there'll be time to relax and have fun. So that's how I try and do it, and separate it. And now mainly I try not to work in the evenings. Obviously, we do the reseller show on the Monday, and there might be the odd consultation call that I'll do for an hour, but I try and spend the evenings with my wife for the obvious reasons that we need to maintain a relationship. And it's easy to get sort of caught up in work, and then all of a sudden you haven't had any quality time with your family. So I definitely, Luke, I would try and find a balance. And at your age, you definitely need to be hustling and really hitting it, because you've got all the energy and the entire time ahead of you. So that's great, and you've probably got as much energy as you'll ever have. So definitely no problem with doing that and working hard, but make sure you plan the time off, that you have got time to play cricket, go out with your friends, probably drink a bit too much sometimes. It's probably the best opportunity you're going to have to do that, because when you're my age, you can't do that anymore. So do that, be young, enjoy that, experience that, so when you do come to work hard. And I think that's probably what I would say is, when you work, but make sure you plan time to have that off and enjoy that. And I think that's the best balance. What do you reckon on that one, Kev?
I think you covered some really, really good points there, Andy. I think you answered it really well. First of all, Luke, what I would say is congratulations to you for making such a big action like dropping out of uni. At the end of the day, I don't know your long-term goals and things, but there's going to be from wherever anybody starts to wherever anybody wants to get to, building your business. There's going to come times where you come into crossroads where you're going to have to make, do you turn left or do you turn right? You're going to have to come across things, just like quitting your job, or do you come out into a warehouse, or all these different things. And you've obviously, you've made that choice, and super, super excited for you, mate. And, but yeah, for the work-life balance. So I genuinely believe that, if it's very difficult. All right, let's be honest. It's very difficult if you're building a business. One, it's going to take an incredible amount of energy, and there's going to be a lot of sacrifice. So there's got to be a limit on, like, for example, if you're going out with your mates every weekend, you're going to have to, if you want to get ahead, if you're going to do some massive action, hustle, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to rein back. You're also going to have to, like, stop watching Netflix and binge series and all the rest of it. But I'll give you an example in my own life. Like, when it comes to, let's say, I always said, like, with my son Theo, he's 11 years old now, and when he was young, I was working as an electrical engineer at the time when he was in nursery and things, and it was very difficult to ever go to his the concerts and things that he does at school, like the sing-alongs at Christmas and things. It's very difficult. I always had to ask for time off. I always had to, like, can I come in late and all these things. And I always said, like, now we're going to come out of our jobs and we've got that freedom. I'm never, ever going to miss, like, a Harper, because now Harper, my youngest daughter, she's 4 years old. She's now at nursery, so she has all the, like, her Easter plays and a Christmas singer song. And now it's like that's a must for me to be there. I've got to. That's what I work for. That's what we work for to experience. The same as, like, I do find there's a difference between, like, watching Netflix from 6 o'clock at night to, like, 2 o'clock in the morning, like 8-hour shift of Netflix. I do think that you've got to rein that right in. And it's not a bad thing to watch Netflix. Like, me and Kylie, we're watching Game of Thrones tonight. But that's our time to watch Game of Thrones, for example. Do you see what I mean? You've got to have that. You've got to stick to some sort of rules. You've got to stick to something. So, like, it would be wrong for me and Kylie to go, do you know what? We're not going to go to Harper's concerts, because that's what we worked to get to in the first place. So I think the first thing, you've got to come up with some type of, I have what I call my life success management system. And I have systems for everything, where I try to review, like, I have goals in all areas of my life. I try to review the progress that I'm making in all areas of my life. But I do recognize that, like, to make progress in your business, you're going to have multiple years of sacrifice. So one of the conversations that me and Kylie had was, we were 26 at the time, and we just said, look, we're going to, for the next 10, 15 years, we're going to go all in. We're going to just build as much as we possibly can and then see where we get to. And I'm going to sacrifice as much as possible. But having said that, one of my things is, like, I want to, for every quarter that we work through, it'd be ace to go on holiday for, like, a week or 2 weeks. Do you see what I mean? And so you're like hard on, hard off, that sort of thing. But exactly. it's difficult. It's subjective for everybody. It's about what you want, what makes you happy. The same could go with work-life balance or like health and fitness, relationship balance, relationship and work balance, and there's so many things involved. I think it's a case of one of the things that helped me was a what I call my outstanding day design. And what I mean by that is thinking about what a really good day would look like. If everything was, if tomorrow I had a perfect day, what would I do? And it would start like in the morning, before all the kids are up, spend some time for myself, my own personal growth, think about what I want to do and my goals and all the rest of it, and read whatever you're into. Then take the time with the children while they're getting ready for school. That's something I never got to experience. Like I never got a chance to be there while they were having breakfast and stuff. I'd be at work, so that'd be great. Then during the day, now I'm off. I'm going to be working hard on going for runs in the mornings. I've been sharing that on my Instagram, for example. So doing that, Luke, would help. Doing that, like just coming up with what your perfect day would look like, and then you're challenging yourself to have a day like that every day if you can.
Yeah, I definitely would echo that. Pick your battles. So choose what the things you really like doing. If you're into sport and you play cricket, then absolutely allow time for cricket, because that's exercise as well as socializing with your friends, as well as doing something positive. So definitely make time for that. And if your way of relaxing is to veg out in front of the TV, then pick your battles. Allow time for that between 10 and 11 o'clock or whatever. But between those times, just make sure you're working as efficiently as possible. As you said about Parkinson's law, I would definitely attest to that. In the sort of working week, if you work for a job at 9 to 5, then the time it takes you to do the jobs in the day will take you that much time, because you're there regardless. So the time kind of that's what it takes. But if you give yourself 2 or 3 hours to do that work, I can guarantee I can do what a lot of people would do in a 9 to 5. If you actually look at what they've got done, you can actually do the mechanics and the actual physical work in a lot smaller time. And that is exactly what I try and do, and try and be as efficient as I can. It's something I'm always working on, to try and be more efficient. Focus is always something for me. I try to be as focused as I can, and sort of knowing yourself and knowing what the tricky points are, and where you might get distracted and things, and just knowing that if you're out of focus and for some reason you can't get focused on what you're doing, then recognize that and take a break and say, okay, for whatever reason, I'm not feeling it today. Go and do some exercise, go for a run, go for a swim, walk the dog, or just break that cycle, and then come back and sit down. And sometimes you'll see it from a new angle and get things moving again. And so definitely pick your battles. If you're into Game of Thrones, and I think most people are, then enjoy it, but be present and enjoy that. Don't just, as you say, Kev said, sit for the whole night just binge watching for the sake of it, because that's not really getting you anywhere. It's kind of passive, and you're not really enjoying it. So if watching TV is your thing, then pick what you want to watch and enjoy it, and really be there and enjoy that time. And the rest of it, make sure you turn it off and get on and work. And I think that's the same with everyone, really. You've got to know yourself and know how you work, and try and be as efficient as you can. And that's what I would say, is just pick your battles, but enjoy the time off when you have the time off, and equally make sure you're working as hard as you can when you are working. And that way is the best way to get as much stuff going. But it's an ongoing thing. I've been working on trying to be better my whole life, and I think I'm getting better each time I sort of reassess it. But that's just life. It's human nature. Some people have got iron sort of clad focus, and they can sit down and just work without any hesitation, and other people it takes more work, and that's just fine. You've just got to find that balance for yourself. But yeah, exciting times. If you're focusing on Amazon full time now, Luke, then just as you say, a really big step for you, a big sort of new move in your business. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that all pans out for you. And I'm sure you'll do really well.
I just wanted to add there, because Sean said, "Work our ass off and buy houses with profits and retire." And do you know what? Like, I do. There's something incredibly motivating to just working your absolute ass off for a decade of your life to live the next 3, 4 decades with total freedom, where nobody in life can tell you what you can and can't do. Like, get to the point where, and I think this is another thing that Jim Rohn said, and I really loved it. Like, get yourself to a point where you've got a financial wall around your entire life, your family, your friends. No matter what happens in life, you would be able to, if you wanted to travel to the US tomorrow just because you wanted to, have a day off just because you wanted to, buy yourself a new car just because you wanted to, never have anybody tell you what you can and can't do. I think that's super motivating, and I also think that's really energizing to work towards. But one thing that I will add as well there for you, Luke, is try to do things simultaneously. So, like, what I mean by that is, like, for example, if you love Game of Thrones, like me and Kylie love Game of Thrones together, so we do it together. So it's like I'm relaxing as well as spending time with Kylie. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you've got like a relationship that and you want to go to the gym together if you can. Or for example, me and Kylie, we've built our business together. So we're actually doing this together. So when we're talking every day, although yes, we're going to be talking about business and things, but we're doing it together as well. So there's a lot of things, and get your family involved. I know, like right at the early days, especially when we was at home, building our business from home, we'd have Theo helping us at night. He's helping with the products, and we're doing it all as a family. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. It's if you can combine spending time with people and doing something else at the same time, that's just a win-win then, isn't it? To be honest with you. Great point, Kev. Exactly why I get my family to prep. Family time and business ticked off. Rope in some forced labor, then you're not going too far off there, Luke. Yeah, sounds like you're on a good plan. Sam says, who gave the show a thumbs down? Bloody cheek. Someone's given us a thumbs down already. That's not good news. Listen, guys, if you are in the chat and you're enjoying this, maybe give us a thumbs up. That's always useful on YouTube. It tells YouTube that maybe it might be worth watching. So, all right, it's probably better that we got a thumbs down than nothing. So that'll do.
I absolutely, I love it when we get thumbs downs, because what that does, it shows that we're reaching people. It shows that we're called, we're generating some emotion in people. We're not going to be for everybody. I mean, we've spoken this reseller show. We've spoken majority of it up until this point, all about personal development. So but it's all part of being a reseller.
Absolutely huge.
Things, this is it. Like, the reality is, there's so many things that are involved in becoming a reseller, from not just strategy, but relationships, health and fitness. You got to look after yourself while you're doing this. You got to look after yourself physically and mentally, because this will cause you to go crazy if you don't. It's there's a lot of things, and that's why we love to do the Reseller Show. And actually, just for you guys in the chat, you're going to be hearing this first. Just before the chat, before we started tonight, me and Andy were talking about potentially, because it's episode 26, that's like half a year, doing another celebration, like a giveaway. Let us know in the chat if you're interested in another celebration. We always like to celebrate with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll figure out something that we can do with you guys, and just to mix it up a bit. I think that would be fun. But yeah, that's great. I think we've got a few questions on that subject. We should maybe get into some Amazon chat as we're on the Reseller Show. We should probably do that. So I think Simon actually had a question, and he put it in the Reseller Show group. So let's have a look at that. It's quite a long question, but okay, I'll read it out. It says, yesterday I got 3 sales for an item and noticed on the order that the title description had been changed from a single unit to a pack of 10. instantly I panicked, thinking that it would be an instant negative feedback. The items were pending, so I couldn't get the buyer's details to contact them. I immediately put in a case to Seller Central saying the item description had changed, and they duly contacted me to say they were looking into it. Overnight, one of the orders was sent, and this afternoon received a negative feedback. God, saying it was a con, etc., and they only received one item when they should have received 10. I asked Amazon to remove the feedback, which they did straight away. That's good. And they also changed the title description back to what it was. Now, I've just got to worry about the other 2 pending orders. I've asked Amazon to cancel them. We will have to wait and see. But thanks to Kev Blackburn, I downloaded the SKU list when I originally sent the items, in which had the original item description on as proof it had changed. That's awesome. That's living proof that advice in the reseller shows had a real world difference to somebody. So that's great. It's a great tip. And why don't you just sort of refresh that tip actually, Kev, while we're talking about it, in case anyone doesn't know that.
Yeah, so that's great to hear that it's a real life example of why we do what we do. So basically, what this is all about is quality control in your Amazon business. Like, when you think about all the things that could potentially go wrong, one of the worst things that could go wrong is you selling something that's not what you said it, or what Amazon is saying that the customer is going to get. So in this case, at the time that Simon's got that available, he's seen it as a 1, but something's happened and it's turned, somebody out there in their wisdom has turned it to a pack of 10. Now the customer is going to buy thinking he's getting a pack of 10, but he only gets 1, which is going to cause negative feedback. So what we do at every shipment, everything that we do that goes through our warehouse is, when you've added all your products to the shipment, let's say you've got a 200 unit shipment and that is 35 different products. What you can do is, when you're working on the shipment, there's like a download SKU list. It says like download SKU download, whatever it is. It's like a CSV file. Yeah. Download that, and then we put it into our quality control, our shipment quality control Google Sheet. Just paste it into there, and what it will do, it will tell you obviously what the shipment name is, the date, the time. It'll tell you all this information about all the different products in there, the prep that's required from bubble wrapping to bagging to tape removal. Everything is listed on this SKU download, to the quantities as well for each one. And then as you do your shipment, what you're doing is you're quality controlling it to make sure that, like, especially here in the warehouse, the way that we do it is, one of the girls will label and do all the
That's not a good sign.
Going through and ticking, saying, that is the right item. We've got the right label on this particular product. So that's giving you a record of that moment in time. We actually go a step further and we take photos of different items as well, like with bubble wrapped or bagged. I don't know whether you've ever experienced the time where Amazon have said that this item wasn't bagged, but it was bagged. It was bagged, which means that it's good to have a photo that you've taken of those items. It's good to have that history of the shipment that you sent, and that's what's happened to Simon. So I highly recommend that everybody does that for every single shipment. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Can you still hear me, by the way, Kev?
I can still hear you, yes.
Good. Okay, because halfway through that conversation, you just totally froze up on me, but it carried on, luckily. So I thought we were going to have a trouble, but no, you carried on exactly from where you left off. So I didn't miss anything, but just for like 2 seconds, you paused. So maybe if anyone's watching.
Hopefully you got that. You definitely want to do that, just because like inbound performance is really, really important when it comes to Amazon, and you've got to take it, especially when you're not.
I'm knocking my mic over and hitting my golden my golden nugget bell. Sorry about that.
Jumped out my skin then. Yeah, you got to have the record and stuff. You've got to have the record of everything. And now we have on our warehouse mobile, we've got just like the history of like we've got loads of photos on there if we ever needed it. We've got the SKU list download like for every shipment that we have. It gets signed. It's just you can't be too careful. And about what Simon experienced, like that's bizarre to me on why anybody would change a listing. I have no idea, not a clue. There are scenarios where we will change a listing if, for example, the packaging's changed. It's the same item, but there's a variation in packaging. So what we'll do to cover our backs, and this is another bit of advice for you guys, just because the more of us do this, then the chances of us getting away with it is better. But if it's exactly the same, right? If it's exactly the same product, but there's a packaging variation, you've probably seen that before. Like there's slightly different packaging. If the customer, you could come across, like for me, if it's the same item, I'm not bothered. Like I've purchased this, I've got what I wanted. But there are some customers out there that will complain saying this packaging is not the same or whatever it is. So what we'll add is in the bullet points, we'll add packaging may vary. And that is a good go-to. If a customer does complain, we can say, look, it's exactly the same item. There's no difference. You've just got a slightly variation in packaging. That's it. Do you see what I mean? And it gives you that. And Amazon will immediately remove the listing, remove the feedback if they give you it, because it says it on there on the listing that packaging may vary.
Yeah, that's a great tip. That's a good way of just covering all your bases there. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that. And also it doesn't affect anything or anyone else's listing. So it's a win-win really. There's no problem in doing that. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I would never go to do what Simon experienced. Like whoever did that, like I don't know. Amazon need to have a bit more quality control on how they're changing because that's just changed the listing from a single to 10. Like that's a big variation in difference. That's not the same as like I've ordered the same conditioner, but the conditioner says, I don't know. I'm trying to give you an example. You could have. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but you know the example where sometimes a package, it's exactly the same, but the packaging is just slightly different.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I've had that several times. In fact, I had what happened? I ordered and sent in once some shampoo, and next time I checked it, it changed conditioner. And a similar thing happened actually. Somebody ordered it and turned around and said, I ordered conditioner and got shampoo. And it's like, it was shampoo last time I checked. And someone had changed the listing and changed but it's very similar photo, but they changed the photo and the item. So yeah, totally different.
We've got all our products right on the other side. I was just trying to see if I could find a real life example for you guys, but it would be maybe something like, and Luke does make a good point saying you've got to be careful with grocery and beauty products. Like sometimes the ingredients do change, and I totally agree with what you're saying, Luke, because that's now a different product. But what I mean is, like, let's say for example, there's like on the packaging it says jumbo pack, but the one that you've got it says like big value pack. Do you see what I mean? It's exactly the same thing, but one says jumbo pack and one says like big value pack. Next, if in the future I've got an example, I'll bring it out onto the show and we can have some props.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. We've got. I think Luke's asked another question up here. Let's have a look. Amazon related question regarding listings where Amazon are selling, in particular when Amazon aren't sharing the buy box and stay in stock. I've personally written these off as no-goes, but what do you think? On some of these items, the number of sellers varies a lot. This could indicate sales, but of course, it could just be sellers removing listings from Amazon because they sell on another platform, etc. Also, even if you don't have the buy box, in theory, some sellers will choose to lower the price option. Surely. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, if Amazon are on the buy box, they're not giving it up and they've got plenty of stock, I'm not interested in that item personally. It's just not worth the hassle. Sometimes you end up in that scenario because maybe they weren't in stock and it hasn't looked like they're coming back, and then they did, and then you've got to deal with it. But I certainly, if they're on the listing and dominating it, it's certainly enough to make me look elsewhere. There's more than enough options elsewhere than to mess with that, and ultimately most people are going to buy from Amazon if they've got an option, even if they're more expensive and you lower your price under Amazon, they'll still choose Amazon because it's a trusted brand. So you're fighting an uphill battle with that one, to be honest with you. So I would I wouldn't be looking to try and play that game if I could help it. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that one, Kev.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think there's just so much opportunity that you don't even need to start thinking about that, to be honest. So much opportunity in FBA, FBM. There's so much you can do. So much you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just clarified that he means some buyers will choose the lower price option. Yeah, I don't think they will, to be honest with you. I see what you're saying, and even if you sit underneath Amazon, the majority of people are trained to look for the buy box, hit the buy box, and go. And even if you could be £5 cheaper than Amazon, you're still going to struggle for sales for that very reason. They trust Amazon. They're looking to buy the product, and that's why the buy box is so powerful. People are trained to just go for that big orange button, hit it, and off you go. So I definitely don't think it's a viable option just to say, well, they're on the listing, but I can afford to do it a few pounds cheaper. I think you're still going to scratch around for sales. So it definitely keep away from those ones if you can.
Yeah, definitely. It's not something that you we've always tried to avoid as well. Just because, like, there's sometimes where you get a bit unlucky where you've purchased an item, you're selling it, and then Amazon have come from nowhere. Like there's been no history of them. There's nothing you can do about that. But always be very, very cautious when it comes to competing with them, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I wouldn't volunteer. You end up in those situations eventually. If you're doing a reasonable amount of volume, you'll end up there, and you'll have to deal with it as and when you can. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't be choosing products if they're already on the listing. That's definitely not something I would do. But yeah, some good questions. Yeah, I like the. Let's see. Yeah, Chris is saying. Sorry,
I've got a question for you, Andy. Have you got much experience with fulfillment by merchant? Have you done much of that before?
Not really. Personally, no, I haven't. It's something that I've wanted to play around with, but to be honest with you, a lot of what I try and do, I try and keep it to a point where I can still travel and go away and mess around like that. So I've deliberately kept it. So I don't want too many things that I have to manually fulfill in case if it does really well, then I'll feel like I'm going to need to employ someone to sort of take over whilst I go away. And that gets more complicated for me personally. So personally, I haven't messed around, but I definitely would be interested to see results with that, because it's an untapped resource as far as I'm concerned. And if you've got the space like you have and you've got staff in the first place, then that's a no-brainer. Have you been testing the waters yet, or are you thinking about getting into it?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's been great for us to bring that into another stream within our operations. It's been great. We're making sales every day now. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
And I said this. I think I said this to Chris. I think a few weeks back when he was a co-host. It all depends on your resources. If you've got the resources available, then great. Then add as many things as you can. And we certainly have. So we've done that, and it's not really added any more strained tools. Really, we're
Yeah.
using exactly the same resources, and it's definitely been a good move for us this year for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think it lends itself to your own setup there. It makes sense. You've got the facilities, you've got the staff in place, and so you can, you have recently gone away, and you still got the staff looking after things there. So if you've got FBM stuff, then it's still going to get sent out. So why not make use of that additional channel for sure? That makes sense. Luke Pastor's just popped up on the live chat. Good to see you, Luke. Hope you're having a great weekend. You've been enjoying the sunshine. I've certainly been enjoying it. It's so nice. There's something about the first sort of really nice weekend of the year. It's almost extra specially nice because we've gone through the winter, and maybe people that aren't in the UK don't have such profound seasons. I don't know, but certainly in the UK, there's just nowhere better than the UK in the sunshine. It's just a beautiful place. I love going for walks by the river with my wife, and it's just I just lap it up. It's just fantastic, and always puts me in a good mood having the sun out. So yeah, I've thoroughly made use of it this weekend. It's been a good one. I hope you've enjoyed it too, Luke.
Yeah, good to see you, Luke. I hope you're doing outstanding and enjoyed the weather as well. The weather is amazing. Like I actually, it's cemented for me that the sun, being in the sun, and I will have a sunny day rather than a cold day any day. I cannot wait to live abroad where it's sunny all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is definitely something. I think I'm solar powered because my mood is always so much better. Waking up in the morning, have the sun shining, walking out in my bare feet, just sort of walking on the grass in my bare feet, having a cup of tea or something like that, and just feeling the sun on my face is just special. I just love it, and it always seems like such a nicer day when you can be out in the nature and in the sunshine, and it always just makes life easier. So yeah, Luke says the sun makes everyone smile and makes me much more productive. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It does. It lifts your spirits for sure. And yeah, certainly in the UK, I've noticed a lot more people seem fairly happy this week. Well, I mean, a bank holiday helps because if you're a 9-to-5 worker, then you've got an extra few days off, and you can make good use of it. So yeah, I think it's been a pretty good weekend all round by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Amazing.
No, it's been good.
Luke had a question here. Do you guys have any recommendations from an accounting point of view?
Okay. So when you say accounting point of view, as in software or personal, I mean, I know that we've both met Mark Hawley at the Secret Wealth Project online arbitrage summit. I can never remember the name, but yeah, Mark Hawley was there, and he's an Amazon specialist accountant, and I would definitely recommend someone like Mark because he, getting your accounts in order is important with Amazon. And there are certain things that are kind of unique to Amazon, and you kind of have to know how to lay it all out. And if someone understands Amazon, I think they're going to bring much more value to the situation. Rather, you probably pay a similar amount of money for a generic accountant, but you'll get so much more money out of an accountant like Mark, who knows the ropes, and he can guide you as to how best to make use of all the little hints and tips and things that you can do to make the most of it. So having listened to him and understand the knowledge he's got, if I was looking for an accountant, I'd have no qualms in sort of speaking to him and seeking him out, because it's gonna make the uncomfortable task of having to deal with your taxes just that little bit easier. In terms of software, there's a few different ones out there, but definitely someone like Mark would be my first port of call. I don't know about you, Kev.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got a conversation to have with Mark. I've not personally had that conversation with Mark yet. I actually went, and my accountant now, I've pretty much gone through the journey with him. He had no idea how to operate an Amazon business, and pretty much everything that he's learned has been from my own journey, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, my accountant is good, but some operational advice for you in terms of accounting, we're always going to say go speak to an accountant. We've got to say that. Obviously, this is we're not legal accountants and things, but from my own personal experience, some of the things that I've personally done, I would always recommend for everybody to record everything that you ever do. Like, I use Google Sheets. You've probably seen or heard me talk about my master spreadsheets. I can still tell you what we spent on the 17th of July, 2015. I mean, I could go back and look at my sheets. Yeah. You've got to reference everything. I could tell you how many units we purchased in our second financial year, because we're just so attention to detail with everything. Yeah. So one thing that I definitely recommend everybody, just record everything. It's going to help you. There's something really frightening to me when I speak to somebody and they talk to me about receipts, and they've got a pile of receipts, and I'm like, that gets me really nervous for them, because accounting is one of those things that it's like you got to try keeping on top of it sort of daily, because it just turns into an awful monster. Yeah. Like, actually correcting it, but it's like it's using really useful mental energy all the time, because if it's building up in the back of your mind and you're thinking to yourself, I've not done my accounting yet, I've not done that, it's gonna take away some energy. Yeah. So definitely use Google Sheets. I'd highly recommend that you use Google Drive in general. So what we do, we actually have a shared Google Drive with our accountant, and we save all invoices, all the documentation, the receipts, everything gets saved on our VAT return, sort of like a 3-month basis. So I can see January 2019, I can go into that folder, I can see all our referenced invoices, referenced receipts, everything's there, and it matches up to the Google Sheet, which just gives you that little bit more organization, I guess. Yeah. So there's definitely that. We have used Sage 1 up until this point. Sage 1 is all QuickBooks, because there's also A2X. I don't know whether you've heard of A2X before, Andy. No, but yeah, there's Sage 1. Sage 1, we started using Sage 1 maybe about 24 months ago, about 2 years ago. So, and what it does, it electronically connects to all your bank accounts, every account that you've got, and every transaction that comes in. Because one of the things that you've got to be careful of now is VAT returns on digital, right? So everything needs to be done digitally now, and having a software like a Sage 1, which gets all your transactions going into the account, what basically happens is, let's say you've got bank account 1, every transaction that goes through bank account 1, it pops up on Sage 1. And then on Sage 1, you've got to assign what that transaction was. So you can assign it to a supplier, a code. You've got different codes. So like you've got like cost of good codes, and every code has like a VAT amount assigned to it as well. So like cost of goods would be 20%, whereas maybe insurances, you've got different codes depending on what they are. So you've got maybe HR codes, there's a lot of different things. And the reason why that's really, really powerful is it can allow you to look at your business and you can see, right, I've spent X amount on warehouse rent, or I've spent X amount on virtual assistants, or I've spent X amount on whatever. And the software allows you to sort of do that much better. And it begins to learn as well. So let's say, for example, you use a wholesaler A, and then the first time you use that wholesaler A, you create that supplier, and then you assign it to that transaction. Then let's say a month later you do a replenishable order or something, and that transaction comes back in, it will remember that was the supplier. So then it just becomes like a tick. So that's useful. What other accounting advice would I have? I will add as well, the reason why Sage 1 is great for that, or doing something electronically is great for that, especially if you are not the one that's controlling financials in your business. So one of the emotional things that will stop you outsourcing financials is, what if somebody takes my money? What if somebody steals money? But having it electronically connected, everything needs to be fed back to what it was. So it's not possible for it to get past you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody was trying to steal, like, oh, I'll transfer like £100 here or there, it's got to be assigned to something, and you can then cross match through your statements and everything, and it would never get away from you. So I highly recommend that. You've got to record everything. So VAT invoices, make sure that you got some type of system in place for requesting invoices. There's a lot of, I'd have to have a think about just some sort of practical accountant advice, but I hope I've touched on a couple there.
That's a lot. There's a lot of good advice there. Absolutely. And look, if you're kind of just at that point where you're kicking on and you want to scale, now's an important time to set the solid foundations in place to make sure, because what you don't want to do, which a lot of people do, is focus on the business and scale, and then have a big headache the first time they've really got to do a big tax return, trying to figure out where everything was. And then it's 10 times harder to then try and figure it out after the fact than it is to put in the foundations in place first and spend a little bit of time each day or each week doing that admin than it is to look back and go, I don't know where half of that stuff is. And that is the trouble. And that's when you get that headache and the real fear that you're going to misrepresent your tax. Either you won't pay enough, which is bad news, or even worse, which is usually the case, you pay too much. And then you look back a few years later and say, I needlessly paid too much tax there. And that's your money you've earned, and you shouldn't do that. So you owe it to yourself and your business to just keep on top of it. It's a good time of year now. It's a new tax year. It's a good time to get on top of it and get those systems in place, because it's always a pain in the neck and it's always something that we've all got to do. But as a business owner, it's important to tackle it and not bury your head in the sand, because that's when it's 10 times harder at the other end of the year when you've got to when you've got to do something with it. Definitely some good advice there from Kev. Choose your use of it.
I'll add a couple more in there now. I was thinking about it. Reduce VAT items. You've got to get a system in place for that, definitely, because that's a huge thing that you can get wrong. Also, I can't stress the point with as many people as possible to record everything in your business.
Yeah.
Not just for accounting purposes. Okay, I just want to give you another quick example on why this is really important, right? So since 2015, I have been recording everything. We've been recording so much, like from what we purchase to our sourcing sheets. Like when we started hiring virtual assistants, we can go back through history, what they've supplied to us. We record absolutely everything. And I've always thought, you never know when you're going to need some information. You never know when you need that information. So first and foremost, from an accounting point of view, just having that information to go back on. So when you first do your VAT return for the first time, when you get registered, that information is invaluable to you because you need all that information. But operationally, you can start to use the information that's coming into your business through Google Sheets. So one of the things would be replenishing, for example. You can then work out when's the last time you purchased something, how many times you're purchasing something in the same month, because you can start to formulate things and you can start to track things on what's actually happening in your business. To the point now, part of our Google master management sheets, we actually trend everything now as well. Not just sort of like tables, we actually trend performance of our sourcing assistants. We trend performance of our purchasing. We capture losers in our business now as well. So like if we get supplied a product that we're not going to purchase, we're tracking that as well, because we want to learn why it's a loser, why we're not purchasing it. And then a good point here is, for so long we've always said no to competing with Amazon. We've already touched upon that earlier in the show. We've always just said no, but we've kept hold of all those items that Amazon are on. It's just on a sheet, okay? We're not using it right now. We've got no use for it right now. But The other tab that we always had was hazmat items. Okay, since 2015, we've been capturing hazmat items. We can't sell it FBA, it's hazmat. But now we're doing fulfillment by merchant. We've now got like a whole library of. I think we had something like over 4,000 different products that are hazmat that we've never purchased, but we're winners. At once upon a time, they were winners, but the hazmat. Now we've got this huge library, so we're starting to go through all the history of library, and it all comes from just capturing stuff. You never know when you need something in your operation, and now is the time to look back on some data that you've been collecting. So always keep data.
Great advice. Yeah, you just proved it in your own actions there that, at one point it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't mean that's going to not make sense later on. So just because you did keep those records, you've got that great back catalog to go through. So that's fantastic. It's great advice. Really, really good advice. Just looking down here, we've got any more questions? We're just over the hour mark now. So Sean says he's trying to sell a board. Found some gems that I can replenish. Hopefully Amazon don't come along. Yeah, fingers crossed for you there, Sean. Hazmat items are good. Helps me sell from home as fewer sellers. Yeah, that's it. Your competition is going to be low because most people will walk away from them. So if you can sell from home, turn a negative into a positive. That's what I would say. So great advice there, Kev. You ended on a powerful note there with some really, really good accounting advice. And absolutely, you can't. There's no situation where you've recorded too much information. You get too many records. There's definitely a situation where you don't have enough information. But if in doubt, keep hold of the information, as you say, because later on, even if it's just reporting, it's really useful at the end of the year to look back and say, this is what I've done in this is what I've spent in pencils and pencil sharpeners. And it's just handy to know exactly where your money's gone and where the winners are, what's most profitable area of your business and everything. It's so powerful. So
it's becoming smarter, Andy. That's what it is. You don't know. It's about evolving your business. It's about not just yourself evolving and becoming smarter, but your team evolving and becoming smarter as well. So a practical example of that would be we track how many repeat purchases that we'll have in a month. Like if we're trying to stay in stock for 3 months, say, and we've purchased the same item more than once in 1 month, that tells us like what the hell's happened there. Do you see what I mean? We start to learn. We start to learn about our own ability on how we're managing our own operation, and that comes from just capturing the data, really. So just to quickly answer Luke there, it's alongside software. We use our spreadsheets and software.
Yeah, great advice. Really good advice. Definitely one to recommend. Get on top of your accounts and keep as much information as you can, because that is one thing that's going to get a lot more complicated as you scale. So if you haven't done so yet, take the time and really attack it and get on top of it, because it's going to be much easier now than it will be later on. So take the action now while you can, rather than halfway through December or January if you're not VAT registered, and doing it then is not the best time. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to get far too much stress, and finding the information at that stage is no good at all. So get on with it now. It's a brand new year and a great opportunity to do it right. So good advice.
Take massive action.
Absolutely. Get onto it. But as it's 8 minutes past the hour mark, we better wrap it up for this evening. But it's been good to catch up with you, Kev, and find out about your awesome summit you've been on. And it's always a pleasure spending the evening with you. So thanks for the guys in the chat. As always, my phone's just run out of battery, so I can't see what the comments are saying. But thanks to everyone that's come on the chat. It's always great to hang out with you guys as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And that's the beauty of the Reseller Show. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that don't get to the hour mark, and then we've just dropped massive gold after 60 minutes. So it's a pleasure to spend some time with you guys. Mandy, it was great to see you live this evening. Luke, Sean, Chris, we had Luke too come in as well. We had Simon. Yeah, big shout out to all you guys. Sam, really appreciate. We definitely we recognize the same names every single week. You guys are the Reseller Show. This isn't mine and Andy's show. This is our show, and it's an absolute pleasure to spend time with you guys every week. And I hope you have a fantastic and massive action-taking rest of the week.
That's it, guys. Take care. Have a great one. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you later.